Welcome to Inside the Set with Set Decor. Inside the Set is a series that focuses on the design and decor of stories that excite us and ignite our imaginations, where we get to discuss the collaborations between production designers and set decorators, and hear firsthand accounts of how those works of art came to be, from their inception, ideas on a page, through completion, where we sit in the dark and experience them collectively.
Welcome to Inside the Set with Set Decor. I'm Jan Pascale SDSA, and I'm delighted to welcome set decorator Alessandra Querzola SDSA and production designer David Gropman to discuss their stunning work on the Netflix limited series Ripley. Welcome to you both, and kudos to you both. This show is magnificent. It's just absolutely gorgeous, and I have a million questions.
Thank you so much, Jan.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be among you all from Italy. Thank you.
Oh, this is great. Well, so that was one of my first questions was it all filmed in Italy, or did you actually shoot New York for New York?
We shot some of New York for New York, but the whole interior of Tom's apartment, as soon as you walk in the front door, the cage at the bottom of the stairs, going up the stairs, and long hallway to his room, beautiful room. And then I think Alessandra's pièce de résistance, the bathroom. I have to tell you that scene as written was to only be in the shower and the effect of the shower. But, we started to fill it out a little bit and then filled it out a little bit more. And then Steve walked onto the stage and, he could not get enough of it. So all of those scenes with him when he's on the phone and making his impersonation as a collection agency, seeing the guy cleaning up and, closing the doors, that was all because Alessandra had done such a beautiful job realizing that. With most sets, Alessandra first sets them up in the workshop. And because the SRO was the first thing we were going to shoot, she completely set up this bedroom so that Steve could see it. Steve came in. First he sat on the bed, then he laid on the bed. We didn't change anything there. And then on a separate day, she created all of the plumbing for the shower. And then, of course, Steve couldn't get enough of that.
I was so thrilled that both of you, David and Steve, they would just come into the workshop and everything happened there, started to happen right there. And then, yes, the plumbing was important because we didn't want to have problems. Of course, all the furniture came straight from New York. That was easy.
Alessandra is very good at filling up a container.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Including the famous shower that we had to rehearse in the workshop to make sure that we knew all the pieces that came. And that opened the door to do the same thing in Tom's apartment.
The first week of shooting was Tom's SRO interiors. And then we went into Tom's Rome apartment. So, and we were on stage 5, the Fellini stage at Cinecittà, and only separated by a green screen. Tom's sad SRO life was on one side of the green screen and his magnificent Rome apartment on the other.
That Rome apartment is absolutely exquisite.
But it was a slow approach in between. We had time. When I had to prepare the first package of offers, like furniture, paintings, and stuff, what really addressed me in the right way was the area where the apartment was supposed to be, which is Via di Monserrato, very close to the Farnese embassy. And that area is being restored during the Renaissance time. So the whole area still have the characters, still have the flavor, still have the atmosphere of the old Renaissance palaces. And because we had, of course, the need of so many paintings, we started immediately to work on that. And all the paintings are originals. And the one that you see on top of the fireplace is even from La Scuola di Filippino Lippi, which is a little bit earlier. But was very, very important for all of us having the right paintings from the period. And that made a big difference.
Again, on an empty stage, we laid out the floor plan, position of all the furniture so that Steve could look at that, imagine what it'd be like to move around. But then in Alessandra's studio, she arranged on the elevation of the wall paintings that we had chosen that we liked, so that then Steve could see every wall and every painting on the wall. And yeah, there were a lot of paintings.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I mean, the stage 5 was ready 5 weeks before the shoot because the actors had to rehearse. Robert had to have his time for the lighting. And my anxiety pushed to do it as soon as I could because we had to verify colors and reflections. And it took me a while to believe that choosing the pure black, would have solved my problem. But when we started to embrace the black, satin black surfaces, black table, blacks everywhere, then you discover that the reflections are the key.
At the same time, with every single one of the sets, whether a stage set or location, they were all designed to be able to walk into as a director and actors and not feel that we were in the middle of some sort of experiment. You could just believe what you were seeing was true to the story and true to your character, but always being mindful that contrast was our best friend.
Yes. Yes.
So difficult to accept for me at the beginning, I was suffering even to have references in black and white.
And actually, there were always two monitors. There was a color monitor and a black and white monitor, but we were looking at the black and white monitor.
Having gone down that road myself, sometimes it's sort of shapes and values in a way, but it's surprising how much different colors really showed up. We use the noir filter on the iPhone.
That's exactly where we were.
Okay, good.
You come home from scouting, you open the computer in an iPhoto. I don't even use any other programs other than iPhoto. And you just scroll to the bottom, hit noir, and then start playing with contrast and exposure.
For instance, in the bedroom, all the paintings, they are more dramatic, but also they were darker comparing to the living room. But there was an advantage because all the figures, they were just floating out. I have to say that the bed cover here, I found out that this green sage, Verde Marcio, was perfect because it wasn't dark, it wasn't popping up, and it gave a lot of softness, to the bed itself because the light go through the cut velvet. And yes, it's lighter comparing to the other things, but was just the right color. I really love the bedroom because it's simple, severe, monastic, and very appropriate for the period and for the area. And I love this idea of a monastery environment for Tom.
And, important to remember that both in Tom's apartment as well as Dickie's villa, Palazzo in Venice as well, these are all spaces that Tom is renting or Dickie is renting. So they're already outfitted. Dickie's villa, there you get to play that he's brought in some furniture of his own, paintings of his own, and not just his paintings, but artists that he's collected. But a lot of the furniture you should believe was there already. That's part of the rental.
And that was so convincing, Alessandra, that you really believed that these were pensions that people just walked into, or, they brought their little trinkets, and it was just spot on, perfect.
This is my third time working with Alessandra, and this is the second time we worked in this palazzo. It didn't mean that we didn't scout a lot of others and show Steve a lot of other options, but I just love this palazzo.
there is still a relaxed approach to this palazzo.
Yeah.
And I think that this is the key. It's not sumptuous, it's real. And so that sofa over there, it's an interesting story because Ravini's armchairs is part of a set of 4 armchairs and 1 sofa that my assistant Francesca spotted and completely transformed with the velvet. So the owner wanted to remain secret. Only right to the end, we discovered that was Philip Stark.
Oh my God, are you
Oh,
kidding?
you God, yes.
But it had such beautiful wear on it. And in the bedroom, that furniture was in situ. But all of the salon there is all Alessandra.
But it was just perfect. It was the perfect mix. And you're so right. You made it look casual in its formality. And if there is such a contrast, it was so beautifully done. And I loved that Dickie's apartment was so light and bright.
There is a reference which I'm very fond of, which is from Gardin, the famous photographer. It's a group of people, wealthy people, and all these people around the table, they're famous. I mean, they're wealthy and famous and very well known. And this photographer just captured this conviviality, which is absolutely fantastic, very casual. I kind of start from this kind of feel. I chose this clip because of the reflections again. We had a reflection of the table, the reflection of the object, but even the coffee cup was in glass.
That shiny object that Tom is so envious of, and that is conveyed. I mean, you both just conveyed these characters so beautifully. And also, again, through the art helps to tell the story all the way through. I don't know how you managed to clear all of that art.
Well, we started with the local painter,
Franco Gentile.
and he was just, having some of his paintings and art in a small shop in Via Margutta.
His style is very reminiscent of Picasso, isn't it? And
Very much so.
I think there was a time where I didn't believe we were going to get permission to use any Picasso. And I thought we better have a backup. And I bought a couple of pieces, went back again, gave his name to Alessandra. Alessandra found him, went and sat with him, and they were everywhere, weren't they?
Oh yes, they were everywhere. Above the fireplace, near at the left-hand side of the Picasso, another one down below. I think that we had 24.
And then how did you progress to Caravaggio?
Steve discovered Caravaggio himself, or saw his first Caravaggios as a young man on a trip to Italy, and he's, I would say, pretty obsessed with him and the history that he discovered of his, which he felt was a really wonderful kind of parallel to Tom. And we were lucky enough to shoot 2 Caravaggios in situ, one in Naples and one in Palermo. Actually, the one in Palermo in the little chapel there is a Caravaggio that was stolen in the 60s, and the church commissioned a reproduction of it. So it's not a real Caravaggio, but it's sat there since the 60s. The rest were either added digitally in post, except for the atelier, where the 2 paintings that we chose to sort of have Caravaggio be in the process of working on in his atelier, they were printed from digital files. And then we did the whole history of how Caravaggio painted, what the steps were, so that we could then take them back and sort of have all the steps and the colors correct. Steve is incredibly specific. I love to do research. Alessandra is quite the historian. And the whole process is to sort of do Steve one better. Do you know what I mean? To sort of, you're running the race and you want to have the information and the whole story told before you show it to him the first time. Because if you got something wrong, he'll probably notice it.
Oh, yes.
As you probably know, in I think most of Europe, certainly in Italy, set decorators have their own paint team and their own construction team. So I would walk into the workshop and say, "Oh, Alessandra, I was thinking of something like this." And she would say, "Well, we'll just build it." And then the guys just build it. And wonderful painters, and one in particular, well, I mean, they're all wonderful, but there is a painter by the name of Valentina Trocoli. And not only did she do the work on those Caravaggio, that's the person that Alessandra asked to do Dickey's entire portfolio of art. And as you know, doing bad art, hardest thing in the world.
Yes, it is.
It's very
Hardest thing in the
difficult.
world.
Yes.
We had found a lot of naive and sort of outsider painters from the period to show Steve, different directions that we might go. Turned that over to Valentina, and for every painting that you see in his studio, there's about 3 others that she did. I mean, we just walked in and we just laughed from one painting to the next, to the next, to the next.
Wow, that's so fortunate to have someone. You got to have those people on your team. It's all about the team.
You can't do without them, Like, the kitchen in Dickey's house we built because we found we were scouting in Maiori, Villa Reale, which is an abandoned place, completely rotten.
Right.
And then just walking, I've seen a piece of furniture and was completely destroyed and rotten. But there was something telling me, there was something that, this piece was telling me. So we just gave them 50 euros or something for the courtesy, and we brought him to Rome. And the boys restored that one and make other 3 identical pieces, including the wall units. That was the beauty of working with really skilled carpenters and chippies and all that. I mean, I really love them.
What you both did was you packed each frame with such beauty, whether it was the piazzas or just looking through archways to the ocean, with the shot with Marge sitting at the bistro table, and you look through the arch and there's the ocean, and every shot was just so beautiful.
But this is the great joy of working with Steve, because everything we choose with him, and he has a place for it in his vision every step of the way. So, we're the lucky ones there. As you know, Jan, you don't always get to appreciate your work on a project. And I don't think that Alessandra or I have any complaints whatsoever. But it's because Steve cares so much. It's because, I love this shot, and I have to tell you, this the town of Vetrani, it's based on Positano. And we looked at Positano. We looked at everything up and down the Amalfi Coast. We looked at everything on the island of Ischia and Procoio. I had a little problem with Trani because there was, I thought, a town that had maybe a better square for us, because this one in reality was a little sad looking. But in the end, I can't imagine we would have been anywhere else.
Yeah, that's magical, You get away from all the, iconic dressing that you're expecting to be done in Italy. You said one thing the other night, that I was the watch guard of the Italian spirit of things, So, but I've discovered that through making this movie. For instance, Signora Buffi, little concierge. It seems simple and all of that, but the cliche would have been all postcards, all the kind of Naples, because that's the instinct, But then that area again was severe and very clean, with no frills. I love the simplicity and I love the balance of everything, including the map of Rome above her head.
Yeah.
And I have to say that also Steve loved that, and the part of the apartment. Again, he was sitting nearby the sewing machine mostly of the time when we were shooting there.
But you managed to somehow get her warmth into that, just in her space, the bench that the cat was sat on, and I mean, all of it was just the place was austere, but warm at the same time. It was very inviting.
Many sets you're tempted to do automatically, how many cafes you've done, Jan, how many porter places you've done, how many this time, no.
Exactly.
We had to be very careful. Yeah.
Exactly. And then I can't let us go without talking about the train stations. The trains. Oh my God.
Well, if you enjoy doing puzzles, and that was a good one. Not a single one of the train stations was a train station. 300 feet of platform with varying columns depending upon which train platform we were representing. 5 period cars from Milano, and then VFX. For Naples, it felt a little bit like maybe we need a little relief from that fascist architecture. The station lobby here is a fantastic piece of architecture, which was a hospital for tuberculosis called Ospedale Carlo Forlanini. And so we can change the entrance into the ticket offices and money exchange offices. And then for the platform, we couldn't reference the actual location. But what we could access were the drawings, the archival drawings. We did a 3D model to show exactly what the depth of the station would look like, how that would integrate with the interior of the station, and then a ton of reference photos for texture for visual effects.
It was just incredible. I want to talk about the hotels, because the hotels were insane. They were all so exquisite.
With the exception of the Daniele Hotel in Venice, not a single hotel lobby was a hotel lobby. Not a single hotel room was in the same place where we shot the lobby. Exteriors were usually in a third place. Not a single bank was a bank. Not a single American Express was an American Express. I spent a lot of time at my drafting table drafting counters until I could stand it no more. There's one. This is the Grand Ballroom at the Grand Plaza Hotel, which Alessandra created this beautiful lobby in. I just thought it'd be so fantastic to have this big, long walk. And so when he pulls up to the hotel, that's the Hassler Hotel. The room here is Palazzo Ruspoli, which is a beautiful palazzo, I think 16th century, Alessandra?
Yes, 16th century.
Yeah, in the center of Rome, like just down the block from the Grand Plaza Hotel. And at the Grand Plaza Hotel, we shot his room for Palermo in that hotel, his room and bathroom. The lobby for the Pensione in Palermo, as well as the hotel that he has to downsize from after entering this beautiful room. Those were shot, both of them, at a private residence in Rome. We shot one of his hotel rooms there also. But your brain was just this Rolodex of all these pieces and where they'd fit in.
Honestly, I can't imagine. You had how many sets?
By my count, we had 7 stage sets and 200 location sets. We were so lucky to be able to, with the exception of San Remo, shooting each one of the towns in the town that was scripted.
That was interesting also, the different aspect of Italy in this itinerary, I really like the idea, that we start with Tom's apartment and finishing in Palazzo Polignac.
Right.
Because it's a kind of decadence that he went into,
Hey, Jan, aren't you going to ask about Peggy Guggenheim's Palazzi?
It's exactly what I was going to say next. How on earth did you do that?
We did that so late in the schedule, and the interior we created just on the other side of the Grand Canal in a very nice, not very large apartment that had been cleaned up and renovated. So we took all the furniture out. Alessandra curated this amazing collection of Italian artists from the period that we could clear the actual paintings. And we did, the famous kind of grills on all the windows. Alessandra built the beautiful sofa and chair, white leather and hobnails.
And we had also original pieces, 2 original pieces from Peggy Guggenheim, one painting and one piece of ethnic furniture. There was nothing really special, but these 2 pieces was kind of get me going on the rest of it, because eclectic can be very dangerous. You can mix and with no results. And no, I had the perfect joy in doing it. Mind you, we had to hire a barge with a crane because the sofas couldn't fit in the staircase.
But also we were on the 3rd floor.
That floor, yeah.
Of a rather small palazzo on the Grand Canal. So,
So
we've
that
been
was
there
the
before,
show.
right, Alessandra?
Yeah.
We did Casanova before I
Yes.
went over. Everybody was like concerned. How are you going to do? How can you shoot in Venice? What are you going to do? And I said, well, I think the Venetians have been working on this for a couple of hundred years. I'm not really concerned.
Yeah. But also we were very lucky to have original furniture because just to furbish the Palazzo Volpi and at the party, we had all Damosto original Settecento furniture lend us. Of course, there was an advantage economically for these people who were to maintain these enormous palazzos.
Right.
But still, it was such a joy to offer Steve and David original things, because there was no way out. There aren't any around to rent, to buy, or just the museum stuff. So that was really exciting to me.
And so how did you even tackle that? Did you go knocking on doors, or people knew other people?
Well, I have this assistant and friend in Venice, and she's been involved because in Venice you tend to do 2-3 jobs in locations many times. And so she knew exactly who had the good stuff. I remember that we were trying not to have the puffy jacket when visiting these people, but to have a normal coat to give us, a kind of allure, making them convinced that we were, kind of respectable people, and they could trust us and lend us the furniture that had to be shipped and packed by special companies and on special barges, special handling.
This is another beautiful palazzo in Venice. But if you were just to go through one of those doors, you'd arrive in the room where we created the Venice American Express. So we had a lot of locations like that where we would, we just tried to pull as much work out of it as we could. And I have to say, Venice American Express was one of the few sets that Steve walked into and said, can I just do one set in color? Because it looked pretty spectacular. It was this amazing blue, which is a color I never use. This is the Naples American Express, which was shot in a palazzo. Well, it's called the Palazzo.
Palazzo dell'Aeronautica, another fascist kind of building.
As a designer, I'm always pushing to shoot in the real place. Something I learned early in my career, that if you were in the real place, not only did you have more at your disposal that was correct, but you just felt differently, and the actors felt differently. You don't always have that pleasure, but here I did. And with the exception of myself, Karen Gropman, my wife, and one of our two supervising art directors. Everybody else was Italian. So we were the guests and had the great sort of tutelage of Alessandra and all of our team to kind of help us see Italian and feel Italian and make sure that we're not making any mistakes. At the same time, Alessandra had to become an American shortly to do the interior of Tom's SRO room and did so masterfully.
And also, we tried to do in Rome Green Leaf.
Oh, yes, Greenleaf Department. We were told that there was no choice. We had to shoot that in Rome. And Alessandra and her team did this. I mean, first of all, just finding an interior that you could believe was American architecture. Really hard. Ironically enough, we shot at one of the American Academy buildings, which had a slightly believable look. We had to do a lot of things with the architecture. We had to completely cover the tile floors with the printed, wood parquet. And it was a room twice as big as it ever wanted to be or needed to be. But Alessandra filled it up with American-looking furniture and art. And then at the last minute, there was a scheduling problem with one of the actors, and it had to be abandoned.
No.
So we went back to the original location I scouted in 2019 in New York when I first started on the project.
In 2019, you started on the project?
I started in October of 2019. Then we had about 8 months off for the pandemic. And when we came back to Italy, Italy was still very much in shutdown mode. And the amazing thing was that, as you see in the film, which was always Steve's intention, there just aren't a lot of people. And that's the Italy that we came back to. We scouted Venice and there wasn't a soul in the Piazza San Marco.
There was just so much. I mean, the ferries.
So again, sort of like the train platform, we had nothing but a dock with a wall on one side. So we had an actual ferry, but then beautiful visual effects here. Had the most amazing, I think Alessandra will agree, the most amazing concept illustrator with us in Rome. And it was just a great collaboration working with him. Yeah. So.
Wow, really beautiful. And there were churches as well, right? Cathedrals.
Yes. Well, there's just the one that we shot there's the one we shot in Palermo, the little chapel. And then there was what's supposed to be San Luigi dei Franceschi, which has the famous Caravaggio triptych. So, good luck shooting at a Catholic church.
Yeah.
But there was a beautiful deconsecrated church in Naples that we used. I have to say that was very hard for me because I kind of strive for authenticity because you never want the audience to sort of fall out of the moment. So the church that we shot was in no way a perfect, stand-in for San Luigi de Franceschi, but in scale and grandeur it was. Yeah. And we chose an asp, and into that asp, or a niche, and into that we put the 3 paintings with visual effects.
So is there anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like to bring up?
I like to say the answer to all my questions is Steve Zalian. And I cannot speak enough about all of the wonderful talent that we had with us in Italy. And Alessandra and I had just, I think 2 years earlier, done my first limited series in Italy. And plus we were together on Casanova. So, when I read the script, I could not think of anyone else I would ask, and I could not think of anyone else who would take on such an enormous and just, I think, nail it every time. every one of those sets.
Such a joy to work with you, David, always. Because you know me, I'm a little bit arts and craft. And yes, and that's make, I think, our relationship easy. I mean, direct. It was always been good working with you, David. Learning a lot of things, especially on catch. The linearity, the pureness of the lines was a prep work for Ripley, I think.
Well, I like to keep things simple.
Yes.
Simple as we can, but always tell the story. So.
Yeah. There was just the right amount of, every set just felt perfectly balanced. So compliments to both of you, and to just the right amount of, whether you were mixing sparse with lush, or just the right amount of art and the right amount of clutter, and or austerity, and just really exquisite work.
When I read the script, all 8 episodes, you sit down and it's Steve and you can't stop reading it. Your first probably emotion is panic, and you just feel overwhelmed. And the only thing that kind of got me through is that there wasn't a single set that I didn't want to realize, that I couldn't wait to sort of figure out. There wasn't, there was nothing that I didn't want to do.
That's
So
good.
that, I think that got all of us through it, right, Alessandra?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And the joy to be at 5:00 every morning on set, making sure, both of us, me and you, that everything was good. That was nice.
That says it all. Thank you both so much.
Oh, God. It's great to see you, Jan. And it's, I think for both of us, it's an honor to be asked to do this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jan, because you make me relaxed and happy to be here and to remember and resume the enthusiasm and the dream that we went through.
Thank you so much, both of you.
Okay, bye.
Ciao, David.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Inside the Set with Set Decor. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit our website, setdecor.com.